Thank you for staying with us. It's time now to know what's on the front pages of the Nigerian newspapers. And I have with me in the studio journalist Dari Udufowoko and in-house analyst Obani Akinwale. Gentlemen, good morning. Compliments of the season. Happy New Year in advance, if I may say that at this point. But then let's begin with the business day now. 2020 in review, events that shaped Nigerian politics. That's the story you'll find on the front page of the business day. And to the front page of the blueprint, Chibok community to Buhari, we want presidential action on 112 schoolgirls now. Commends security agencies, urges change in strategy. Landmine kills 7 hunters in Borno, Zamfara to build schools for orphans. All right, let's quickly move now to the front page of the Daily Independent. 2023 presidency, Afenifere Ohaneze, ACF, Middle Belt Forum, Pandef join forces. We've not endorsed Tinubu, Fayemi Bakari, Afenifere. And to the front page of the Daily Trust now, 2020, Nigeria in 12 months. That's the story on the front page of the Daily Trust. To the front page of the Guardian newspaper now, Buhari's oil ministry reels on the corruption allegations. Stakeholders demand action on Senate probes. NNPC spends 116 million naira on biro, paper, ink. Over 4.1 billion to $21 billion in 1 month. NAS under attack for oversight failure. To the front page of the Daily Sun now. Saraki breaks silence on rift with Buhari, explains why Magu others weren't confirmed by Senate he led. Ex-Governor Obi calls for competence in leadership recruitment. On the front page of the Nigeria News Direct, COVID-19 confusion as states cancel crossover service, impose fine against defaulters as Makinde approves crossover night under strict COVID-19 protocol. We'll be looking at that story shortly. And to the leadership newspaper still talking about the crossover night, federal government reads the Riot Act to violators of COVID-19 protocols. Security operatives to enforce 12 a.m. to 4 a.m. curfew. Churches insist on physical gathering. Oyo lifts curfew, OK's crossover night. NIMR begins probe of fake COVID-19 results. NMA warns against reopening of schools. All right, we'll quickly now move to the front page of the Punch newspaper. Experts warn about consequences of low testing, states abandon enforcement. Late detection of COVID-19, low testing rates, increased risk of death, virologist. Poor testing rate will affect contact tracing, says Academy of Science president. And to the Nation newspaper now, federal government mounts pressure on states for COVID-19 action. Reopen all laboratories, isolation centers. NMA caution against schools reopening. And to the front page of the Vanguard newspaper now. Pandemic wars ban COVID-19 coming. The WHO speaking there. I warned against reopening of schools. NMA president take responsibility on crossover services. Lagos state government. Why we allowed crossover services in Oyo, Makinde, Ogun bans crossover service. Gentlemen, let's go to the front page of the News Direct, talking about the crossover service that has generated a lot of conversation and controversy in recent days. Some persons want to go, others are saying there is no need for it, and I wonder why it's generating so much discourse in the first place. But let me start with you, Dad.
And that's just my point about it. I wonder why there is this debate. One, the crossover service we talk about is actually about religion. It's about worship.
Yes.
And I think that is strictly personal.
But you know how we are when it comes to issues of religion.
Extremely personal, I will insist.
Right.
However, if it is personal and staying alive or dying are also personal choices, I think the individual should know and need not be told that at a time like this, caution should be our watchword. And if one of those cautions you need to take is to stay at home and commune with your God for that one night. Many of us are in our 40s, in our 30s, in our 50s, in our 60s. in our 20s. We've been alive for so long. Probably we've had crossover service for decades.
So not going for this one.
Don't go in for this year. In my opinion,
cost a lot.
It shouldn't cost this brouhaha. There should be no reason why we will make it such a serious issue that it will take a government policy.
But isn't that infringing on their rights to associate, gather, do whatever it is that they want to do?
Where your right stops, that is where others start.
Really?
If allowing you to enjoy your right to worship will cause problem for us as a nation, or even for your community where you live, if it will lead to the spread of this pandemic, don't you think you are infringing on the rights of others to stay alive by going to that crossover that particular day? Stay at home for one day because there is a resurgence. For God's sake, it's the same government that said, okay, churches can reopen recently.
Absolutely.
It is the same government that relaxed other guidelines.
Yes.
So, in the wake of what we are all hearing the world over, not only in Nigeria.
Maybe a lot of persons are not hearing what we are.
But if you are not hearing, you are seeing.
Perhaps they are not seeing.
The television stations have made it a point of duty to take this message home to. So when people still talk about enlightenment, orientation, I wonder what is left to be done.
Perhaps it's not getting to the grassroots.
The grassroots are not on the social media where this noise is highest.
They are not there. A lot of them are not there.
Thank you.
So I will start by saying, are you also aware that attempted suicide is a criminal offense?
Right.
Good. So if someone decided to go and endanger his life out there, all in the name of crossover of a Gregorian calendar, don't also forget that the crossover we're having is a Gregorian calendar. There is Julian calendar, there is Bali calendar,
majority of these people do not know this calendar that you have mentioned.
And so for me, as a Christian, as I will say that every day is Happy New Year. Because you don't have 31st of December, 2020. You won't have 30th of December. So crossing over from 30th of December to 31st of December requires us to thank God. And again, the Bible explicitly states that, let's go religious a bit, that we should not forsake the assembly of brethren, but where two or more are gathered in his name. So gathering from the word Ecclesiastes, which said the call out one, it simply means where we gathered. And how do we gather? Experience 2020 gave us an example. All the musicians stayed at various locations, and this thing was televised online, offline, and people were gathering and worshiping God.
How many people had access to it?
That is easy. The question you ask yourself is that prior to this time now, how many of our churches must televise or put their program on radio? Then you ask yourself, for some of our bigger denominations, have we at any point in time have about 8 million congregants gathering at the redemption camp? Have we had about 4 million congregants gathering at Canaan Land in Ota? Do we have 2 million people gathering at Nasfat in Ibafo? So what it means is that even before now, we have all agreed that all of us cannot be physically in the same location. So churches like Deeper Life prior to now will have their members to stay in their various churches and televise the service of Reverend Kumuyi to them. So it is onus on us. These religions that we carry either as Christian or either as Muslim are even foreign to us. So if a country like United Kingdom, if a country like Rome, if a country like Saudi Arabia are shutting down their borders and asking people to stay at home, UK is on tier 4 level now. I don't know whether Nigerians are going to be holier than Pope. If a country that has statistics of number of people that have been tested, as of yesterday, they said about 1 million or thereabouts was tested, which is more than what has happened in April, and more than 1,000 deaths in a day. Yes. And here in Nigeria, people are falling. You just hear somebody had malaria, all of a sudden, he lost oxygen, and it's no more. These are people that are just next door. Then it behoves on us to know that this COVID is not here to play. And the new strain that they have in town now doesn't even give you loss of appetite, loss of smell, loss of anything. You just hear people drop dead because the oxygen level is low. You just hear people drop dead because they have ordinary body pain. So it is not up for debate. Then again, if the function of government is security of life and property, life comes first before property. And what are we talking about? COVID is ravaging, is killing fast, is killing in numbers, and is going around the entire country. It's been imported here and there. So I feel government also has a role to ensure that they are not trying to tilt to what the religious leader want or what they don't want. it is about their citizens.
But we see a state now, you know, approving the crossover service, and some other states. Isn't that also generating controversy?
Like he said, when we begin to put pressure on these politicians, we must always remember that they are what they are. Politicians. They are gamblers. They will consider the next election as more important than any other thing.
And the influence of the life of people.
But then, who is asking for it? Who's asking for it? We, the people.
It's not the people.
When they say, okay, the federal government said, don't let us have crossover night. Based on the advice of the committee on
experts.
NCDC. Yes, and the NCDC. Then the debate started in some states. No, we should have crossover nights. And they started appealing to the consciousness of their own governor, who wants to show either that he's a good Christian.
But he is the security officer of the state.
Listen, I just told you to him he's first a politician.
Right.
Let's be realistic. To them, politics comes first. The next election. There is an issue. His first consideration is, what will make me win election over this issue, or what will make me lose election? And if he discovers that tilting towards the ban on crossover night will create some roadblocks for him come 2023, then he begins to find a way of balancing it.
Massaging egos.
Massaging some egos.
Really?
Acceding to some requests that ordinarily he should not even listen to. What do we see now? Gradually, the states are shifting grounds, either for religious consideration or social consideration. I've had somebody say it will be unfair to have kept the people at home since February for one reason or the other and not allow them just that one night. And I look at it. One night, when everybody is talking about what do we do to ensure we don't go into 2021 with this COVID-19 scare again? What do we do to ensure that we don't begin 2021 with coronavirus still a threat to all of us? I think all hands ordinarily should be on deck to ensure that we prevent a more serious pandemic.
Which we already have on our hands.
If we are not careful, we are escalating the situation with just one day of indiscretion.
The DG of the NCDC has said that we are going to pay for the activities we involved in January.
Absolutely, I agree with you. I agree with you.
Sorry, if you look at the way we all rushed back to our pre-COVID-19 social lives, then you will know that we learned nothing.
Absolutely, I agree
from what we went through. I was scared when I saw OMB parties. You know, here we predicted that our social life will never be the same again. That the rate at which we do OMB will change. Nothing changed.
So for me, if the Christian Association of Nigeria will come out and says everybody should do their whatever in their house, there's no crossover night. If religious leaders like likes of Pastor Adeboye says stay in your house, we'll televise it to you 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. If people like Bishop David Oyedepo come out and say once a critic of the government says don't come to Ota, stay in your house, we'll do this to you. If Pastor Sam Adeyemi could say guys stay in your house, crossover differs in each country, so you can decide to join people in Sydney. I wonder if Germany, that is more sophisticated, can tell us today that on December 29, about 1,291 families are going to mourn throughout this year. A country that have medical facilities, a country that have already imported over 6 million first vaccine of COVID from Pfizer, and a country that doesn't have a quantum of the vaccine, a country that does not have capacity to test up to 1 million since January till today, and people. I was in some states in Southwest a couple of weeks back, and I was asking a friend of mine, I said, is this in Nigeria? Is this the way people are hugging, shouting, no nose mask?
And that is the concern for some persons.
So and then we had several elections.
Yes.
Coming in between.
In between.
Sincerely, if you ask me, government needs to rise up. See, it is better for us to remain unpopular than to kill your population.
Yeah.
Right.
If Bill Gates is still asking African government that, how are you doing that you are not dying like chicken? And yet, we don't still have reasons for us to stay indoor, for us to protect ourselves. No vaccine, no money for vaccine. And yet,
and the facilities.
It's not there.
Testing, no isolation.
You just said, I have typhoid and malaria, and I've been treating it. And the next thing you hear is that the person is no more.
He's dead.
And you find out that there was a post by a doctor who says, They are even an hospital. They have about 50 patients, and they only have 4 oxygen tanks to give. And so it's just supposing who should die first. And yet we have all those information around us, and yet people still feel
we may have it amongst us, but then is it getting to the grassroots?
It
Because
is.
they are the ones that are really agitating.
The grassroots are we talking
These
about?
people, the market women.
But it is not the market women that are demanding for crossover nights. And let me tell you something. You see, because it has become our norm to say information is not getting to the grassroots. Let me explain what orientation is.
All right.
Orientation trickles down until when we, the elite, in quote,
take it serious.
Takes it serious. The information that will be getting to the grassroots will still be that of unseriousness.
Right.
Whatever the government and the agencies are saying usually comes down to us first. We will now take it to this grassroots.
Where is the grassroots if places like recreation center, like I don't want to mention names in Lagos, are opening and people are partying? A event that was locked, and you have who is who, the socialized in society are there partying. So is that grassroots? So it's just, and if you look at the number of educated that this thing is killing, is the statistics, don't let me say the number that we have, is more than that market woman that's able to go to Yalago and drink, because we don't have their statistics. So if the so-called learned, educated ones are still gathering, are still going without nose mask, government needs to go to civilized event centers, clubhouse to stop people and doing what is right. It tells you that it is not about information not getting down. It is just about government not using that government armor to hit all of us. Sincerely, sometimes I crave for Buhari, the of 1983, that they should use Blala to beat us. Guy, use your nose mask. Beat him. Use your nose mask.
Maybe we shouldn't ask for that now. But
you know why? Because somebody's father, somebody's mother is dying, and there's nobody that will provide for them. And when you have that, the crime rate will increase. Because what we don't know now is that those breadwinners that are dying now, those that miss bread from them will become trans. Yes. They will become terrorists to the society. Somebody is opening one school in Zamfara for orphans. We don't know the number of orphans that COVID will bring out. We don't know the number of towns. You know what's happening in Surulere. You know what's happening in Korodu. Because people don't have means of survival, means of livelihood. People are losing their job. Companies are closing down because it's affecting them. We are still sitting down and say, it is for the rich people. It doesn't matter. Let me go and hit my party.
Allow us live our lives.
Exactly. The issue is, it is one way of life that we need to do away with. Waiting to be forced to comply. I'll share something with you. Yesterday, the gridlock on Crowley Road was so much that I had to abandon my car and join BRT. And, good to say a lot of people complied with this. But while we were in there, soldiers, it was late in the evening, were beating up a guy because we all saw what he did. You see this road that has been newly constructed, they put red tapes there, did everything. And soldiers were deployed to be guiding it to ensure that you don't march on the newly constructed road. It's still wet. They're working all night. But you know that this guy saw the soldiers here, moved a little bit down, and quickly dashed across. In the process, spoiling. So they grabbed him. And all of us were actually saying, this is something bad. And when they started beating him, do you know that the fellow sitting beside me stood up from the car, from the BRT, opened the bus and said, leave him alone now. What has he done? Is it not enough? You want to kill him? You see, that moment, it was like, but we all saw what he did. The soldier, one or two of the soldiers quickly ran after our bus, met the driver and said, park. Do you know what this fellow did? He stood up and he was going to run away. And people grabbed him. And then something came to me and said, this is who we are. Yeah. Exactly. He was ready to escape, meaning that he knew that what he was doing is wrong. Yeah. Many Nigerians know what we are doing about COVID-19 and the guidelines are wrong. We are only waiting to be told. And because it is about our lives and not just about the somebody just had COVID and he survived
with the best medical personnel, with the best hospital, with the best treatment. So that should tell everybody afford that.
That is about us. Right. So we should cooperate with the government. I won't be shocked that even if they start beating people, some people will still go out without nose mask. You are talking about the ruralities, the grassroots. You go to malls, And you still
So
find people
without
milling
masks.
around without nose mask. That is not that's not Jankara market.
Yes, right. Okay.
So
we have
these
to,
are
it's
issues
obvious that we should government to take this serious.
It is about
They need to.
If you are waiting for government to use the sledgehammer,
and I think I want to add this, that it
Quickly.
is the high time our ethnic leaders, it's not until election comes, where are the Arewas of this world, where is the Ohanese of this world, where is Afenifere of this world, when this is ravaging us. All of them, middle betters, all of them will not come out to say, save your people's life. But when it is 1 month to election, you will see all of them saying,
vote for
restructuring,
this,
restructuring. You can only restructure those that are alive.
Absolutely.
Please, our ethnic leaders, our KBACs, our Obas, our OBs,
Everybody,
our
all
Emas,
hands
they
on
need
deck.
to make sure that we all adhere to this. This guy is killing people daily and massively, not
right.
a rural man or the urban man.
We have to leave the conversation here now for want of time. Dario Odufo, Obani Akinwale, gentlemen, thank you for your time on the program.
Pleasure.